Hey guys, welcome to Mesa Verde. We're here at the National Park. We got the Insty Connect hooked up, the binoculars, and so a lot of people have been asking me, how do you aim the binoculars? There's a couple different ways, and we're just gonna jump right into it, okay? So the first way, it's probably the easiest way, it's a simple scan method. Essentially, you start in one direction, so let's say we start in this direction, and we wait 2 minutes, then we grab our phone or device and we run a speed test and we see what the speed is. After that, you rotate it about 45 degrees to the next quadrant, wait 2 minutes, run a speed test. That is the simple way to aim the binoculars, okay? And what that does is it's the 2 minutes that makes the difference, because the 2 minutes will allow the modem to kind of do a scan of its own, and then it'll allow the modem to pick the band that it thinks is the best and then lock on to that. And in most cases, it does a pretty good job. But in some cases, if there's heavy congestion, we can do what I like to call a deep scan. So basically what it looks like is we start in one direction. So we're going to start in this direction. We run a tower band scan on the system, which I just did right now. I'm in my truck because it was just raining a second ago. So if it doesn't return you, oh, so it did. Okay, so it returned me two things, tower 94, tower 100. Okay, so in that direction, two towers, two bands, and they're both 17. So 17 is not a very good band. It's a low frequency band, and a lot of times it's pretty congested. But in that direction, doesn't look good. What I'm going to do now is just rotate it 45 degrees. So check it out. 45 degrees-ish in that kind of direction. And what you can do also is you can kind of see, like there's a cut right there in between some mountains. So we're going to put it right in that spot right there, and then we're going to come over to the system and run a tower band scan. Okay, so that's going to clear out any band locks. It's going to do all kinds of stuff, and it's going to do the tower band scan for that zone, and then it'll bring it back to the screen, and then we can see all the towers and the bands that are there. And we could see what the modem is locking onto itself, and then see what else is available in that zone too. So it gives me a good snapshot of what's in that quadrant. We can do the speed test on the one that it's selected, and then we can try to lock on to any of the other ones that look like they may be decent. And I'll show you here, once this is done, if there's any of them that look decent. It essentially kind of forces you to do the same thing, because it takes about a minute or so, minute and a half, to run the full band scan, depending on what provider you're using. Some providers have more bands than others. Sometimes takes a little bit longer after the page refreshes. All right, so here we go. So in this one, we got tower 6B2. Look at that. So, but look at, it's got a decent quality of signal, but it's not very strong. So negative 129. So we look in this list, we got 17 on 100, negative 112. That's about it. This quadrant doesn't look very good, but what the modem decided to do is lock on to tower 6. Tower 6 is right there. Now band 17, which let's go ahead and I'll pull up the speed test app right here. Okay, so you notice it took a little bit of time to get it, but we're connected. And if you're ever doing this and your speed test app just kind of, poops out or something, don't worry about it. You can just try the next quadrant. So we got some speed on what it found. Oh, actually, check it out. It changed to band 66. So the modem itself thought band 66 is better than 17. And so even on, look at that, negative 129 and negative 20. Those are some really, really weak signals, but the Insty Connect is still able to do something with it. We got some 342, and yeah, the upload is pretty bad because our signal is pretty bad. But there are some that we could try if we wanted to, but we're just going to go ahead and do the next 45 and run the tower. So what we did was we changed, and now we're pointing in that direction. We've been running tower band scans on it, and then I came in, and in this direction, we actually lit up a whole bunch of stuff. So that kind of means we're pointing in the right direction for tower 6 and 55. But what I really liked was band 14 showed up, and the signal's still pretty weak, but then we ran a speed test and we got 24.3 and 0.48 up. So this is a very decent usable signal, especially since up here, phones, hotspots, tablets, nothing works up here. We have my phone, which is, I have both AT&T and Verizon in there, and I don't know if you can see that, but there are no bars at all for either Verizon or AT&T up here, and even at the visitor center back there. So this is a complete dead zone, but with the Insty Connect, you see how much information is out still in the sky. And that's the key right there, is that the Insty Connect, since the modem is up there in the sky and it's in just a really well-tuned antenna in the binoculars, it can scan all of that and pick it all up and tell you what's there. And a lot of times the modem can figure it out and do it itself, or you can check it out and say, oh, I kind of like the way this one looks, lock it and see what you got. So what I'm going to do is, I really like this. Let's run it again. And just mind you that I'm out in the truck, and this is the router that's inside the camper. So the speeds are probably faster in the camper, but this is a decent usable speed, right? So it's jumping up. Yeah, I'm well happy with that, especially in this zone right here. So what I can do at this point is further tweak it. So I'm going to leave it locked to band 14 on tower 6, and I'm going to take my iPad over here. This is called fine tuning. Okay, so this is a good opportunity, and I'm going to put it right here. And on the band scan and lock page, it's going to notice it says 2.2 seconds ago. And then what you're going to want to do is check out the RSRP, -115. Okay, so that is the received signal reference parameter or something like that, right? Or if it's reference received. Anyway, it's one of those things. The towers send out a kind of reference signal, and that is the strength of that reference signal. So that'll tell you how good of a signal you have. So the RSRQ will be quality, and that will change based on how much stuff is in the air. But the RSRP is your signal to the tower. So I'm going to rotate just in little steps, right? And I'm going to keep an eye on that 115. If it goes up, since it's a negative number, if it goes higher, like -116, that means the signal's getting worse. So it did go to -116 for a second. And so just to make sure, I'm going to rotate a little bit more. I'm watching the seconds and see how it went to 116. So I think I'm going in the wrong direction. So I'm going to turn it back that same amount, and then I'm going to tweak it back the other way, okay? And I'm going to watch my seconds, 2.2 seconds ago, watch that to update, and then will tell me what that is. So sometimes so it's still 115. If the seconds kind of climb, that means it didn't get anything new. So it didn't get a new signal. So I'm going to tweak it a little bit more back in this direction. Watch my seconds. Okay, 114. So it went down. Actually went up, since it's a negative number. So what I would like to see is if it got into a yellow zone. So I'm going to tweak it back just a little bit more. Watch it. So it went to 115, but now it's back to 114. And it'll kind of tweak a little bit on its own, but you just rotate it really slowly, watch your seconds, and make sure it doesn't start going into the 116 and go higher. Okay, so now because we're locked on band 14, it's going to stay there. And if you were to rotate it kind of in the whole other direction, the whole system would just say it'll stop doing anything, and it'll say searching, right? Because it's the modem. You told the modem to lock onto that band. If it loses the signal and it goes somewhere else, then you're just kind of out of luck. The way to clear it is to go to auto tower selection, press the button, and clear it. So one thing I noticed is that it never really got any better than 114. So I think that is kind of the peak that I'm going to be able to find with band 14. I don't know what those guys are doing. So I'm going to kind of turn it back in that direction. We'll run a speed test one more time. You can kind of tell that it went down to 114 and I got a little bit better speed. I just want to let you know that speeds will fluctuate all the time, okay? So I could probably let this sit here and then come back and run a speed test and it will be 20. And come back, it might be 30, so that type of thing. One thing that I noticed is that my upload is a little worse. So I can turn it back in that kind of general direction that it was and then run another speed test. So that's basically the deep scan. Turn it 45 degrees, tower band scan. It'll bring back a whole list. If it doesn't bring back a list, then you're probably not hitting anything. You can try another quadrant. It works best if you have a signal at all. So in a lot of cases, I was on band 17, and so I kind of had a signal with the tower already, so I was able to ask the tower what he got, and it'll send me back. If you have no signal at all, it may not be able to pick anything up, so it's nice to have at least, I'll call it a reference signal when you're turning it around. If you get to a spot and you turn it and the system says searching, not connected, and you try to run the tower band scan, don't be surprised if it doesn't bring anything back. There's probably just a dead zone in that spot. So that's just about it. Let me know if you have any questions on this, and I will be glad to help. Thanks much. Hope you're having a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.